Okay, this is another reaction video. This is The World According to Briggs, the top 10 worst airports in the United States. Now, I've traveled and been to quite a few airports. I'm pretty sure one of the airports that I've been to is going to be on this list. I don't know. I've never seen this list before, but I am kind of curious why these are the top 10 worst airports in the United States. Please click like, share, and subscribe for World According to Briggs and for myself as well. Yeah, here we go.
What is going on, everyone? Who likes to travel? I know I do. I went on 17 trips this year for more than 3 days each time. Sometimes by car, a few times by train, and most often, like most people, by plane. There's almost 90,000 flights on an average day in the U.S. At air traffic's daily peak, there's over 5,000 planes in the air over the U.S. That's a lot of planes that can be landing or taking off from almost 20,000 private and public airports in the U.S. Just under 3 million people take off and land in the United States each year. A majority of those 3 million people hate the whole experience. Buying tickets, going to the airport, getting through the airport, getting on the plane, getting off the plane, getting a drink at your destination, finding...
It can be a pain sometimes. I recently just flew back from Phoenix, and but no, most airports are generally pretty straightforward. I've told people before who've never flown before, once you've flown one time, you pretty much got it down to a science. It's not that difficult to figure out.
Finding out that your bags are in Atlanta and you're in New York, it's never...
I had that happen. My bags were stuck in Jersey because they rebooked my flight and out of Jersey to Seattle, and my bags just stayed on the ground in Seattle while I was on the ground in Jersey while I was in Seattle. And by the time they actually made it to Seattle, they go, there they are. Didn't say apologize or anything like that. Just, there they are. Pick it up. Go. That's okay.
A good time. Half the time, the average person promises they will never fly again. 90% of them break that promise a couple months later for one reason or another. Hands down, the worst part of the whole experience is the airport. Most of the time, they're big and they're confusing. They're like little cities.
They really aren't that confusing. Okay, like I said, if you all you need to do is, know where your gate is. It really isn't too difficult to figure out. Just if you know how to read directions, you can figure it out.
Major airports you would think were designed by a person that is clinically insane. They're the worst. And that's what today's list is all about. The bad ones. So sit back, put on your neck pillow, and watch my top 10 worst airports in the U.S. Number 10. MCI Kansas City.
Never been to this airport.
Kansas City International Airport is about 15 miles from downtown and is one of the worst airports in the country. The whole layout is very odd, and all of the good places to eat or get some coffee are on the wrong side of the security, which doesn't really help anyone. You see all the checked-in passengers buying lunch at a gift shop, and that's not right. I've been to MCI 3...
That would be strange, because usually most of the good stuff is when you go through security. If you're telling me once you go through security, all the you can't go back and get... that's not the way it should be.
3 or 4 times. Lost my bags twice when I left MCI. They ended up someplace else. Didn't get on the flight with me. Never understand that. On top of that, I remember the road going into the airport being in bad shape. Like they were doing construction, but there was no construction going on.
That can be a pain when you go into an airport and there's construction all around it.
Yeah, that one kind of sucked. On top of it, they're getting ready to do this big expansion for it because it was built in like 1971, and all the airlines are protesting the price of the remodel. It's weird. It's not a fun airport to go to.
I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere.
Ask your doctor about Entresto.
Number 9. MSY New Orleans.
I have been through New Orleans airport before one time. One time I flew down there and during the pandemic, and maybe I was lucky because everything was closed down during the pandemic. But I thought it was a pretty big airport if I remember correctly, but it wasn't that bad.
Louis Armstrong New Orleans International Airport serves about 12 million passengers annually. The main complaint from the passengers are that the restrooms and overall cleanliness of the place sucks.
Yeah, that is true. I will say
Custodial
that.
staff doesn't care to do their jobs properly, or they're understaffed, whatever. What kills me about this one is that it's the biggest complaint, it's been the biggest complaint for years, and it's a relatively easy fix. Retrain, hire more, or fire all the employees and start from scratch. If they have a contract with an outside company, they're not living up to their contract.
I probably didn't get to experience it the way most people would have experienced it during busy time. Like I said, it was during the pandemic that I went down, that I flew down there, and there was basically nobody there. Nothing was open. And so basically it was pretty easy to keep everything nice, neat, and orderly. So I'm probably not a good person to talk to about this, or I haven't been there when it's really, really busy. But yeah, he is right. I mean, most airports that I've been through, even the busiest ones like Atlanta, do a reasonably good job of keeping it clean.
Unless in their contract someplace it says, leave the place relatively filthy. Now, I've been through this airport a few times, most recently in 2016, and I remember the whole place kind of looking run down, not just the restrooms. And it's too bad that this place is named after such a talented man, and it just sucks. Number 8, BOS.
Now, I have heard about Boston's airport as being one of the worst airports. My father has flown through it a couple times and did not have a lot of good things to say about it. I have never flown through Boston, so I can't speak on this one. But my father has, and he hated going to Boston through the airport. But it's Logan's Airport. International Airport is what it's called.
Boston. Logan International Airport is located in East Boston and has about 40 million passengers annually. Parking is absolutely horrible. It's actually a joke. If at all possible, it is recommended that you take an Uber or a Lyft to the airport. Don't park there. Spots on the first couple levels are always full, as to be expected. However, the parking garages don't have elevators. So when you're parked a couple floors up, you're lugging all your stuff downstairs. I still have a hard time believing that one. The first time I went,
Yeah, most airports, if you go to a place like a parking garage, if you do long-term parking, depending on where it is, like where I'm in Columbus, it's just like long-term it's not a parking garage. Like the blue and red are just big giant parking lots, but there is a place where you can go and park, and they have like I think 3 or 4 levels, and they all have elevators. I'm surprised this one doesn't.
thought that it was just we weren't around the elevator.
Because if you get to the 4th floor or something like that, I don't know how many they have in Boston, and you're lugging that stuff down, that means when you get back, you got to lug it all back up.
Here's where we parked, so we just went down a couple flights of stairs. The second time I asked the friend who drove me, both times actually, where the elevators were, and he said they won't give us elevators because we're Irish. I still don't know what he meant by that. I mean, he is a comedian, so he could have been joking. I don't know. But anyway, if you don't know this airport, entering out of the tunnel is a bit confusing also. It's been about 8 years since I've been through Logan, and I've heard it's gotten better, but it still kind of sucks, according to the locals. Number 7.
Chicago. This must be O'Hare. Now, I thought Midway was a lot worse, but O'Hare really wasn't that bad. I just thought Midway was a lot worse.
RD Chicago. The Chicago O'Hare International Airport was opened in 1944 and today sees about 80 million customers annually. The main complaint is about the TSA agents. Many complain they racially profile passengers and are just plain rude, which never makes for a fun experience or a good reputation. I was there in October. The problem with this one is it's just too damn big. They're constantly doing remodeling, and it can get confusing for people that aren't familiar with O'Hare, especially when you're trying to leave, if you're trying to grab a bus, a taxi, or a train. That whole thing gets confusing. Everyone stares.
Yeah, it does get confusing there. I mean, look, I said most airports you can pretty much find your way around. I didn't have any trouble finding my way around Chicago's airport. And the TSA agents, when I was there, weren't that bad. But, different strokes for different folks, I guess.
At these machines they have that sell tickets with total confusion. Nobody gets them. It was really weird. I watched this for about 20 minutes. I actually stepped back and kind of watched how people connected with these because I'm computer literate. I know how to work a machine. I was having a really hard time. I didn't understand it at all. Whoever made these machines, they need to be fired.
Yeah, well, I was recently in Chicago last year, and I don't know if they're the same ones that he's talking about that I have now. I don't know how old this video is, no, I didn't have any trouble. Let me take a look, see how old this video is, because I'm kind of curious about that. This video is 2018. Okay, so no, I didn't have any trouble when I was using the machines last year.
Number 6. PHL, Philadelphia.
Okay, I've been through Philadelphia before, and I once flew in there, and I had to make a connection, but there was no information on the connection, no information at all about where I looked on the phone, I looked on their app, could not find anything. I had to wait in line about 10, 15 minutes before I finally before they would tell me, they had to run all the way to the other side of the airport and get on a shuttle that would take me on the runway to another concourse. And what turned out to be pretty much an easy 1 hour layover turned out to be a frantic get there. And by the time I made it to the gate, it was they'd already pretty much boarded everybody. I was like one of the last people on the plane. So, yeah, Philadelphia.
Philadelphia International Airport sees about 30 million visitors annually. So here's the deal. You have a job, you work in a climate-controlled workspace, it's a fast-paced job, which of course makes the day go by faster, your pay is decent, you'd expect a TSA agent to be a little bit pleasant and professional. Not in Philadelphia. Many passengers complain that the agents are often very rude.
The city of brotherly love, and the people that booed Santa Claus, and you're expecting TSA agents here to be pleasant, wonderful people.
Rude and unprofessional. I was in Philadelphia in June, and they're right, they are rude and they are very unprofessional. The last time I flew into this airport prior to June was about 20 years ago, and I remember nothing about it. After my experience in June, I think I may have been blocking some things out. The whole place feels outdated. It's confusing, and all the restaurants and stores and all that stuff, way overcrowded. This, in my opinion, is the worst airport that I've been to in the U.S. Number 5, EWR, Newark, New Jersey.
Yep, this is the one that I knew was going to be on here, and I'm surprised it's not number 1 because Newark, I landed here in Newark. I was only at Newark for 40 minutes, and that was 40 minutes too long. I thought it was one of the most disgusting places I've ever been in my life. And look, keep in mind, I'm not exactly, nobody would accuse me of being a neat freak or a clean freak. Okay, I like things clean, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a clean freak. This looked like the worst piece of real estate I've ever laid my eyes on. It was disgusting.
Do yourself a favor and never have a delay in Newark Liberty Airport for any longer than maybe an hour. The lines here are horrifically long for everything.
Hell, 40 minutes was too long for me.
Check-in, bathroom, security, coffee, anything you want, you're going to be waiting in line. You should also expect to have to stand the entire time because they don't have any seats, it seems like. No available power outlets, no free Wi-Fi. It's like a 1970s airport when it comes to technology. This place is devoid of all innovation and customer service. The best thing to do with this airport is to mow it down, grow a forest, then set the forest on fire so that way when people look at this place, all they'll remember is the forest fire, not the airport.
I can't say I disagree with that statement. This was a horrible airport.
Typical place in New Jersey, though. Number 4, FLL, Fort Lauderdale.
I flew into Fort Lauderdale back when I was a little boy. Don't remember a whole lot about it.
Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport in Florida is one of the absolute worst in the country. If at all possible, I recommend that you use the Miami International Airport. It's 10,000 times better, and it's only about a 30 to 45 minute ride away. Passengers complain about the food options, the employees, and how unorganized this entire airport is. This is the type of place that will drive you to drink on a holiday weekend. Go on the day before Thanksgiving, and you'll probably need a therapist and some lithium just to get on your plane. I flew in here once about 7 years ago, and that was it for me.
Yeah, I flew when I was a little boy. I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I do believe him when he says that. I have heard people say I'd rather fly to Miami than Fort Lauderdale.
Number 3, LGA, New York.
LaGuardia. When you fly into LaGuardia, you get a pretty good, if you're on the left-hand side of the plane, you get a pretty good shot of the New York Mets ballpark. But I did not hate LaGuardia. I thought LaGuardia was all right, but it wasn't as good as JFK, but it was okay.
LaGuardia Airport is one of the 3 main airports in New York and sees about 28 million passengers a year. This is the airport you go to when you need to get a plane that same day, and all the other flights at all the other airports are completely booked. Visitors often complain that it's very dirty.
It wasn't the cleanest airport, I'll give them that. The other thing is that when I was flying out of LaGuardia, I flew in, had no trouble. When I flew out, I just remember this. I'm sitting at my gate, tells me which gate it is. I'm sitting there, I'm waiting. I notice nobody's around me. Now I had about an hour before my flight left. I thought it was strange. And then I went and there were 2 gate agents just sitting there, just doing their business, doing regular work that you see them do at the gate. And then one of them gets up, walks away. The other one keeps doing their business. And I said, "Is anybody else going to be on this flight?" And they looked at me and goes, "Oh, we were wondering what you were doing there. Your flight is over." When were you going to tell me that you changed gate? I mean, were you ever going to let me know that? Because the thing in the background still said, flight to Columbus. There was no change on it, but hey, at least I still made my flight.
The food options are horrible, and there's often leaks in the roof and holes in the carpet. It's so bad that our past Vice President Joe Biden referred to it as a third world country back in 2014. Watch any sitcom or TV drama about New York, and you'll eventually see jokes or comments about how bad LaGuardia is. I've never been to this airport, so I asked a New York friend if it's as bad as its reputation. He said no, it's much worse. He said that every time he goes to LaGuardia, he feels like he went to a business that's closing down, like they filed for bankruptcy, and it only has a few days left till they close forever. And stop typing. I can comment if I haven't been there. It's called reading and researching. As a matter of fact, I did just comment without being there. I get that all the time. How, if you've never lived there, how come you say that? How come you can't say anything if you've never lived there? Oh, really?
Oh, yes, you can.
If you've never experienced anything, you can't say anything about it. Is that what the mentality is here? How are we getting books about the Revolution or the Civil War or historical things like that? Those writers and movie makers never were in the Civil War or the Revolutionary War. How's it happen?
That's why you have a show like, or a YouTube channel like History Buffs, where Nick Hodges will go there and tell you what they got wrong.
Happening. It's called research. Stop typing. Number 2, LAX Los Angeles.
Now, I've flown in and out of LAX before, and LAX is a crowded airport. It is a pain in the wazoo to get through. I do not like LAX airport. I hate LAX. It's hard to get in. It's hard to get out. It's just, to me, it's just so overcrowded.
The Los Angeles International Airport sees roughly 85 million travelers a year, and that's their problem. If you break that down, that's about 230,000 people going through that airport every single day. It's a lot of people for one airport. LAX is way too crowded. Never expect your experience here to be a quick experience.
Yeah, you get in there, and it's just you're bumping into people left, right, and center. Getting your bags is also a pain, and then your ride to get out of getting into the airport when you're leaving is a nightmare. Getting out of the airport is an even worse nightmare. It's just absolutely overcrowded.
Even if you're just picking up a friend, LAX.
And you also have the other thing is there's an In-N-Out Burger, which is close by to the airport, and that's also jam-packed as well, and that also helps or hurts, depending on how you look at it.
X has a thing where it almost seems like it's an all-day affair every single time. I grew up in LA and flew in and out of LAX too many times to count, and it sucks. I know the place really well, and it still sucks. You think I could get in and out? No, it's almost impossible. The thing I do like about LAX is the horseshoe design. It works. I'm sorry. It works if you don't have 250,000 people going through it every.
Yeah, you can also go to the internet and look at it there. It really is nice to look at, but it doesn't help you getting in and out of the damn place. It's just complete nightmare.
Single day. If this place was designed like some of the other airports in this country, it would be shut down because of safety issues. This place has got a great design, but like I said, just too many people. Too many people. If at all possible, go to Long Beach Airport.
Number 1, I don't know where he's going here. I could see Midway being on number 1 because I thought Midway was worse than O'Hare, but he has O'Hare on this one too. Let's see.
And number 1, JFK, New York.
Okay, now JFK in New York, I had a great experience with. I flew to Seattle through JFK, and I thought JFK was probably a nice airport to go through. Now, that was back in 2008, so I don't know if it's changed since then. It's also strange you have Newark, JFK, and LaGuardia all on this list.
John F. Kennedy International Airport was opened in 1943 and now sees 57 million passengers annually. JFK was built with the idea that every airline needed their own terminal. The problem is, that worked in the 1940s, that doesn't work here or now. Today, JFK has terminals 1 through 8, 2 of which have been demolished in the past 5 years. Because of the poor design of this airport, it could take passengers up to an hour, maybe even an hour and a half to travel between terminals. And stop typing. We are talking about the average person visiting JFK, not some dude that works there and knows how to get between the terminals in 30 minutes.
The only problem that I had at JFK was they had a situation with the water coming from the Sound, and or not the water, the wind coming from the Sound, and they were only able to use one runway. So you had one runway with planes coming in, one runway with planes going out, and that was a problem. But again, I did not have a bad experience at JFK.
Stop. So, obviously the biggest problem with JFK is the design, and it would seem to be too expensive of an undertaking to fix it. They should probably make one of those artificial islands and make a new JFK entirely, and close the old one down. I'm all for keeping old buildings. They have history. They tell our story. When it comes to an airport that's design is causing such major issues, it needs to be dealt with. I like New York. I despise this airport. Alright, so that's my top 10 worst airports in the United States. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching my channel. I appreciate it. Don't forget all the links below. Hit the like button. Tell me what you thought. Hit the subscribe button if you already haven't. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.
Okay, that was interesting. Top 10 worst airports in the United States. I've been to some of these, and yeah, I can understand where he's coming from, and he gives reasons and explanations. Interesting, the 3 in New York all made the list. Terrible air. Well, I know what I said. I had a good experience at JFK except for flying out, but even that wasn't too bad. LaGuardia, again, you run into situations with unfriendly staff or people just not giving you the information you need, or you don't. It's just not available. But either way, I can understand where he's coming from on these top 10 worst airports in the United States. Well, thanks for watching. Please click like, share, and subscribe for World According to Briggs. And please click like, share, and subscribe for me as well. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching.